What's up? We are live again for another great Sunday. My man Austin is here with me, and we are going to be answering all of your fantasy and DFS questions. Austin, how goes it, brother?
It is going. I am still down and out after yesterday's game. I'm doing everything I can to get over it. I went on a straight liquid diet last night, and my body is recovering.
Man, I knew it was going to be rough with you this morning after Michigan did what Michigan does. But man, I'm just glad that you are here. And this is the trooper that Austin is. And man, we both have had just like a shitty day. Reuben Foster, you get the news last night about him being arrested. Then you wake up and he is released. What a human piece of garbage. Another Ray Lewis Award winner in the books. And I'm glad he's gone. I'm proud to be a 49ers fan this morning, actually, because man, we kick people like this off our team for Cowboys and the Patriots and, the Bengals. There's no doubt he will be on one of those teams again, but not my Niners. Not my Niners. Oh, anyway, okay. A little bit of therapy. Do you need to let out some choice words for the Michigan
I
loss, or are
do.
you ready to move
I
on?
I knew we were in trouble when we were not getting in the backfield with that defense. I knew it before the half. I was like, "What the fuck? Why are we not?"
Yeah, and that's the thing, man. You got to be able to get in that backfield. Y'all's defense is supposed to be the best, but I don't know what happened there. I don't know what happened there. So let's move on. Let's jump in. We will be going over weather, news notes, games to target, players to stay away from, and what to do with freaking Melvin Gordon. Good Lord. He's out. He's in. He's going to play. He's back out. What is it? We don't know. But we're going to be going through exactly how you should handle that situation in all DFS plays. So right off the bat, Austin, man, can you walk us through the weather? Is there anything relative with weather? Oh, technical difficulties right off the bat. This is what DFS is. So as far as if we look through the weather games, there's nothing that's going to really affect the over-unders or players to fade. So this is great news. Now, news and notes. We've got a whole bunch to get to right off the bat. AJ Green not expected to play. This has ramifications for this entire Cincinnati Bengals offense. So, Austin, who is it that you are staying away from, or who you trying to target here for Cincinnati? Oh, he's gone again. This is the way it goes on Google Hangouts at times. So, I'll tell you this. AJ Green is the cornerstone piece of this offense. And whenever you look at what the Bengals did in the first half of the season and the offensive production they were putting up was insane. However, those days have come and gone. That offensive line, the terrible defense, they're very, very predictable. I am 100% staying away from everybody in this Cincinnati's passing offense. Now, however, I do like Mixon. I think that he has value, and I think that Boyd is priced appropriately. However, this Cleveland defense does very, very well against number one wide receivers. And if Boyd was the number two guy, I'd be all about it. But whenever he is getting the defense's full attention, it scares the hell out of me, and it makes me want to stay away. So, Austin, are you back, brother? Austin's still not back. All right. Let's move on to Melvin Gordon. Now, Melvin Gordon is not a lock to play. They came out earlier that it was his hamstring, and there's also some knee issues. And this is huge because, this slate, the Sunday main slate, is interesting because Zeke's out, Kamara's out. You've got Gordon out, you've got Hunt out. All these guys are either on bye or they're not playing today. So what's going on is there are very few guys that are at kind of the top of the list of running backs that you could consider chalk plays, or I call them unicorns, or whatever. So here is the issue. He was probably going to be one of the most owned players in all of fantasy. There's no doubt that he was going to be everywhere. But the problem is this: if he's not healthy, he screwed us over in the past. If you remember back in the game in London, whenever they were doing this exact same language, and then it was the early game where they kicked off 6:30 a.m. time, and he wasn't in lineups. He is 8,900 on FanDuel, and he has a very favorable matchup versus Arizona. But I'm not quite sure I want to roll with him. I took him out of a lot of my lineups. Austin, I think he's back. How you doing, brother? Nope, he's not. Sorry about this, guys. This is going to be the Austin in and out episode. It just seems the internet has funny ways of dealing with this. So, couple things that I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get Eckler in a few more lineups than what I was planning on originally. The value is there. He's not near as expensive as you would think. He's only 5,400. Now, Austin Eckler hasn't been putting up a lot of great numbers recently. He had that insane start, but here's what we want to do. Last week he put up almost 9 points, previous week 2 points, previous week 4 points. But if Gordon is not 100%, that volume will have to go elsewhere. And the two people that I think that this helps out the most is Austin Eckler, but probably even more so than that is Keenan Allen. He should be able to get a lot of volume with or without Gordon. I like that play this week anyway. But if you add on to the fact that, man, Gordon might not be 100%, look for them to pass a little bit more in the red zone, which again goes back to Keenan Allen. Now, Doug Baldwin, another game time decision, and that's what's going on this week. There are so many coin flip decisions in games, all this stuff, and the one player that you've got to pay attention to, one, Doug Baldwin hasn't been doing great. He did get a touchdown last week. However, if he is not in, or even if he does play, Lockett is a great play. Just because he has been the favorite receiver of Russell Wilson, and this game, it has the chance to actually put up some points. Seattle versus Carolina has a 47.5 over under, which for a typical week wouldn't be the best, but it's one of the top projected fantasy games of the week. It's definitely a top 5 matchup, which we'll go over some more of those in a second. Deshaun Jackson's questionable, and we're going to talk a lot about this game, the San Francisco and Tampa Bay game, because, man, there's just people questionable, people being kicked off the team this morning. Reuben Foster, you suck, and wide receivers out for the 49ers. But let's focus just for a minute on the Tampa Bay side. Now, right off the bat, Deshaun Jackson is questionable. Now, it's a thumb issue, which, he's got a case of the dropsies anyway. But if he is out there, they are going to be throwing the ball like crazy. Is that Austin I hear?
That is me.
Oh, he's back. What is up, brother?
Oh, this is killing me, man.
The internet. I feel like I'm just glad to have you back. So just talking about the Deshaun Jackson injury and what this will make us do for the Tampa Bay Bucks offense, because this is the highest scoring game of the week. Vegas has it as a 54-point over under, and this is supposed to be it. So you better load up on this game. So let's focus just on the Tampa Bay side for now. Austin, who is it that you are just in love with on this side?
Brait. I mean, he is so cheap. He is one of the cheapest players this week. He helps make your lineups pretty stacked. I mean, for the volume alone, he's going to be fine at 4,400. Yeah, 4,400. So, yeah, that's the one I'm looking
free.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's a free play. So, Brait is the one I'm looking at right now. I do have a lineup or two with Winston, only because. Well, they don't have a running game. They don't have. So why not just go after all L receivers?
And I get that the running game is suspect at best. But the thing is this, if you go look at the stats, I saw this online. If you combine all of Fitzpatrick and all of Winston's fantasy production, they'd be the number 2 quarterback in fantasy behind Patrick Mahomes. This offense is insane. They broke a record for most yards ever in a game with only 3 points. I mean, they're a mess. So what the game where they only scored 3 points 2 weeks ago, they actually had more yards than the Chiefs had against the Rams, but only got 3 points out of that somehow. So I absolutely love playing Winston this week. And the two things that Winston do, really three things. One, still crab legs, make poor choices. 2, target Evans. 3, target Brait. So I love that stack, a Winston, Evans. I'm pretty high on Evans this week. I can't stand him as a player, but the volume and the poor defense of the 49ers just says this could be a huge game for him. I love Mike Evans this week, and that just grosses me out. I need to take a shower after this. Ugh. Okay, so let's jump over to the other side, man. We've got people out, both starting wide receivers, Pierre Garçon and Marquise Goodwin, probably not going to play. What are you doing here?
Well, I do have a Mullen stack. Just he surprised us a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, put up 20 points, man.
Yeah, got a little more confidence in him. Definitely have a lot of Breda. Breda is very cheap this week. If you're trying to play down for a running back, but I think he produces. I think he's probably top 5 just for today. I would say for opportunities. Like I said, volume is key in this situation, and with it, it's supposed to be 55 points, which I think I'm going to take the under on this game, on that, but because I don't think you're going to get 55 with the 2 players out on the 49ers side. So
yeah, and so like this, here's the deal with Breda is he's been unreal all season long. It's just if he gets injured or nicked up and then he has to go out. But he's coming off of a bye. He's coming off of his best game as a pro, put up 25 points versus the Giants. Scored, receiving, scored rushing, and he's playing against a very awful defense. So I could totally see a game script where Kyle Shanahan comes out and says, all right, we got to slow it down. We've got a lot of inexperienced players all over the field. Let's just slow this down and run the ball. And if that's the case, Breda's more healthy now than he has been all year. This could be just a gigantic game from him. I love Breda. I probably have him in the most lineups this week. Totally not biased, though, on that one. So
yeah, Kittle, too, though. Got to put Kittle in there.
Yeah, he's pricey. But again, if you look at the way that this is going to go, he's the second price tight end, $100 cheaper than Zach Ertz. But man, this kid, the volume is there. The big play potential is there. The goal line scoring is there. Basically, if you just deleted Kittle's name and typed in 2016 or 2017 Gronk, they're playing very similar roles. The first priority on every single pass play is it's Kittle almost every time. So the guy is about to break the record for most yards per target ever for a tight end in the NFL, which is saying a lot. I love me some Kittle, by the way. Love that guy. So Jimmy Graham, broken thumb. He is questionable. Randall Cobb, hamstring, also questionable. This is the Sunday night game. Now, I love the Sunday night game because I love those single game lineups on FanDuel. It seems like I win a lot of qualifying tournaments on there. Who is it that you are rolling with in this game? Most importantly for this offense for Green Bay?
Well, I mean, you can't sleep on Rodgers, obviously. Devontae Adams, I always throw him in a lineup. He's, like I said, he's safe, is what I like to call him. For tournaments, MVS. I didn't see anything about Equanimous playing yet, so I mean he could be a sleeper for Green Bay as well, but that's something just to keep on the news because they've been scratching him week to week lately. So
yeah, stay away from Jimmy Graham. Yeah, I mean he's been pretty rough all year, but then you add this injury to it. One guy I like is Lance Kendricks. I think in single game he's pretty cheap, and I think that he could get a couple more targets thrown his way. Now let's go to your team. Here we go.
Don't forget Aaron Jones.
He's a lock, man. That guy is just an absolute lock.
Yeah.
Now it's Marquez Valdez-Scantling. He burned a lot of people last week.
Oh yeah, he did.
But I feel like you got to go back. The talent is there. The big play potential is there, and Rodgers can't throw every time to Devontae Adams, so he's got to spread it out some. Now let's go to your team, Brady. Man, what's this illness/knee thing? Tell me a little bit about that.
Who knows, man? I mean, they said last week that when he tried to do the stupid play to get the catch, he hurt his
Yeah.
knee. So, I mean, I know he's trying to be like them young bucks, but he ain't no young buck anymore. You know, he's about my age now, so he needs to stop that stupid shit and just stick with the game plan, just throwing the ball.
Yeah.
It was bad. Like he is, I'm sure his ego is hurt. That's why he was sick this week. Hearing all this shit talking because they got blowed out by Tennessee, and we're going against the Jets. It's to me, it's a perfect game to bounce back. So,
and that's the thing. If you look at Brady's splits with and without Gronk, they're two different players.
yep.
And Gronk is back. How likely or how comfortable are you using Gronk and using Brady this week for DFS lineups?
I don't have any exposure to them yet. I do want to put one together, but I mean Gronk is still 6,900 on FanDuel, so it's difficult to just look his way. I mean, I hate to say it, man. Seeing Brait is just like, you start looking at all these other players that you want to use, and you're like, I can't get Gronk in. And in Ertz, I think Ertz has a better game than Gronk, unfortunately. So
Yeah, I'm with you. And, I love what you put in the notes here. This is a Sony Michel, James White kind of day. This is going to be the New York Jets. They're a mess of a football team, but they play pretty sound defense under Todd Bowles. And if there's anything that Josh McDaniels is pretty good at is taking what the defense gives you. And what the Giants do is they give you underneath. So this is going to be one. I could see this game just being lots of 3rd down and 2s convert, 3rd down and 2, lots of 12 to 15 play drives, slow and methodical. And if that's the case, it's going to be these underneath guys, Sony Michel, James White, and Julian Edelman. I love Sony Michel this week. I think he's got 2 touchdown upside every time he steps onto the field. And I think he's going to be a stud this week. I have him in probably about 30% of my lineups. Who do you prefer out of these two, Sony Michel or James White this week?
I'm going White.
Yeah.
Only reason I'm going White is for the PPR aspect. I mean, Michelle, I think he's going to get his, but in my opinion, White is a safer guy. And another thing, don't fade that defense. I think that defense has a decent game as well today too. So
New England,
yeah, and they're only at like 4,100, so they're a good defense to throw in there.
There's quite a few defenses this week that I'm like, ooh, I like it. And it's all over the top of the bottom. If I'm going cheap, I like Cleveland at home against Cincinnati. I really do like that. I'm sorry, they're on the road against Cincinnati, but still, if AJ Green's out, which they've already ruled out, like I hate that offense. I could totally see Cleveland getting a handful of sacks or a couple turnovers or limiting them. My top 2 favorite defensive plays, you've got to go Baltimore at home versus Oakland, flying across the country. Oh, that's just yummy. I love it, man. And then obviously the Chargers at home versus Arizona. Joey Bosa is supposed to play every single play of the defense, and he's going to be all up in Rosen's grill. So a couple just defensive nuggets, couple more news and notes. Kiki Kuti, the greatest name of all time. Let's see here. It's questionable with a hamstring, limited all week. We feel like this guy's questionable or out every week. But if he does play, are you comfortable playing him in your lineups?
I am. I mean, he's one of the better players when it comes to wide receivers that you can drop down and price for. He had a great week last week. Ever since he's been on the field, I mean, it's always the guy to go to for that QB. So,
and this is the Monday night game. And again, if you listened on Tuesday, me and Steve talked about how, the Monday night game is one of the lowest scoring games of the week. It's got a 41-point spread on it. So what I'd love to do is I want to do the Sunday to Monday slate, and I almost ignore the Monday night game. I don't mind Kiki. I don't mind Hopkins, of course. But all in all, this is a game I kind of want to stay away from just because of the way Tennessee plays offense and defense. They are very similar to the Cowboys and or the Redskins and how they want to shrink the game down and just methodically take time off the clock and make it a smaller, shorter game. And because of that, usually their point totals are a lot lower unless they play the Patriots. Did you like that, Burn? Did you like it?
That was crazy.
Okay, here we go. Who has a better day? This is my question for you. Odell Beckham Jr. or Antonio Brown? They are both priced the same. Who are you taking, my friend?
Well, right now I have them both in a lot of lineups. I mean, that's the way I'm going with it. They're both priced at 8,500, and so I mean, we know how Big Ben is on the road. It scares us a little bit, but I think Brown is one of those individuals you can use even if Ben is not playing, if he gets subbed out for somebody else. But Beckham, he's safe this week. I think I have him more. I have more exposure to Beckham, which makes me sick. You know,
I know. I don't know if you guys know this, but he hates
I
Odell
don't hate him.
Beckham Jr.
I hate his attitude and his demeanor. That's it.
I love it. I think that he's my son's mentor and philosophy of life, trying to adopt what Odell does on a daily
A
basis.
perfect millennial. You're right. But
If you
hey,
want
we
to
got a
piss off,
question. We got a question, man. They're asking about Melvin Gordon. I know you already talked about it.
yeah.
And they said they're getting motion sickness from your computer shaking so much.
I can't help it, man. I'm here in California. The tremblings are real. I apologize about that. Now I'll say this, Melvin Gordon, he is not somebody that I'm feeling confident getting in all of my lineups. For example, if you're going to play 5 different lineups, I'm going to have them in one. I'm going to have Eckler in one, and then I'm just going to stay away from this. The price point that he is at, if he was fully healthy in this game, I'd have no problem having him in a majority of my lineups. But man, at 8,900 versus the Arizona defense, and there's question marks, I want to be a lot more hesitant than I should be. Melvin Gordon has been a top 4 fantasy play all year. I get that. But if health is an issue, there's so many other value plays that you could jump to, save money, load up at wide receiver, and do something else. So that's my take on it. This is one that I kind of want to shy away from. I'm fading Melvin Gordon just because of the question mark. I don't like to gamble. What if he gets out there first series and just doesn't like it, re-aggravates something, then he sits? I would much rather go with somebody like a Nick Chubb and save $1,400, or somebody like Sony Michel, again, save almost $3,000, and just be able to put that money towards wide receivers.
Well said.
All right. Let's see here. Let's jump through some games, top games to target. This is one of my favorite things that Austin does every single week, where he goes through and basically we allow Vegas to predict the plays that we want to highlight. So let's pick a couple games, Austin, and tell us why we should be rolling with these games.
So Vegas this week, my favorite one that Vegas went like skyrocketed on points. You don't see it very often. Vegas going up 2 points, but right from the beginning of the week until up to this morning, the Giants at the Eagles, they went from 48.5 to almost 50.5 now. And players, obviously, we've talked about most of them already this morning. I mean, Wentz, Eagles said that they're going to use Josh Adams more. Ertz, Wentz and Ertz stack, you can't go wrong. And then on the other side, there's always Barkley and Odell. So
yeah, and we told you last week on here, I told you, I like Adams. I'm starting Adams in just a couple flyer lineups, and he paid off big time. This week, even more so. He completely dominated the snap count and the touch totals, and I think that's going to continue. If you look at the game last week versus the Saints, where the Eagles got completely dominated, Adams put up an awesome game. And so you go from playing the Saints defense to the Giants defense at home. Man, who knows what this kid could do. So Adams is a play that is super cheap that I love this week. So Austin, let's do another game. Pick another game that you want to roll with.
Another game I want to roll with. At first, like I said, I thought the San Fran Tampa Bay game was a game to roll with. Other than Brait and a couple of them, I mean, I do have a lot of exposure to this game, but like I said, I think I'm going to take the under on 55 points. It did go up a point from the start of the week to the end of the week. We've definitely crushed that game already with our stuff. So let's talk about the Cleveland Cincy game, because I mean, Chubb, Duke Johnson, Mixon, Boyd. I mean, these guys are guys I'm always using week to week, even in my regular fantasy leagues. But now I'm kind of worried because Boyd hasn't been showing up with Green out. So I'm a little concerned about Boyd.
Well said.
Time
I agree.
AJ Green is out, so and then Dalton, I have not had a lineup with Dalton in it in almost probably a month and a half, unfortunately. Mayfield is a good tournament play for this week. Njoku is not bad at all. Njoku is actually, I have I kind of faded him a little bit more thanks to Brait and Kittle, but Njoku is, dude, he's 5,100, so he's not badly priced. So he's definitely an individual that I would look at for building some lineups around. So
Yeah, the problem is just the volume and targets have just been awful with Njoku and really everybody. Like the downfield about Mayfield is, man, he is productive. However, who he targets is kind of it's rough to find. I love Chubb this week, and I actually like Duke Johnson as well. The volume that he has had the past 2 weeks has been incredible. He got the touchdown last week, which kind of saved a down game, but still, he paid off his value, and his value is still pretty low. But there's a lot of guys to target here. Mixon is the only player on the Cincinnati offense that I would put my trust in. Outside of that, I am staying away from almost everybody that is a Bengal. Until AJ Green comes back, I don't want to touch this team. And Mayfield is kind of one of those dark contrarian plays I wouldn't mind building around just because he's put up good numbers. And this Cincinnati defense is one of the worst in NFL history. It's crazy to think that they have passed the Tampa Bay Bucks this year in most yards allowed. Back-to-back 500-yard games allowed. I guess we'll do that for you. So one more game, and then we're going to move on to our emergency value plays of the week.
So I think one more game. I don't have it up here. I'm not sure why, but I think the most exposure when it comes to quarterback and wide receiver and tight end this week is Indianapolis at home against Miami. I do not have the over-unders in front of me.
It's 51.
51. So in my opinion, I mean, that is a high scoring game. And this is where I have all my exposure. I mean, it's the stack of the week. Both Steve and I agree. Luck, Doyle, Mac at home. I know Ebron, he's with what's the kid? How do you say his name? Ali Oxenberg.
Ali Cox, I believe is how you say it.
He's out now. So that helps Ebron, Hilton. I mean, even Grant. Grant is a sneaky play for this week as well. I mean, what Luck has every game he's been in, he's had 3 touchdowns now. Almost every
6 straight. Yeah. 6 straight games with 3+ touchdown passes.
Right, exactly. So how do you not in my opinion, he's probably the safest player this week out of any game. So I have so much exposure to Luck and Doyle as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. People were so shocked last week that, Eric Ebron didn't lay the goose egg, but we've been telling you for a long time, like, this is Doyle's job. We told you. So until you guys figure it out, like, this is going to keep happening. Now, this week looks a little bit more favorable than last week for Eric Ebron because Mo Alley Cox is out. He's going to get more snaps. Usually they just use him in red zone and obvious passing situations. But the problem with Doyle is he's not a great blocker. And so it seems like the premium for the Indianapolis Colts has been protect Andrew Luck at all costs. And their offensive line is playing lights out, which makes every single person on that offense viable for fantasy production. So yeah, I'm with you. I do not like Miami at all. I don't like anybody besides maybe Amendola, which his volume has just been through the roof. Tannehill is back, but who cares? You don't know which running back they're ever going to play. And really the only viable player on that offense, in my opinion, is Amendola. I'd stay away from everybody else.
Yeah, totally agree.
All right, let's jump to our emergency value plays of the week. So this is just a real handy. If something bad happens last minute and you got to plug somebody in, these are the guys to target at each position. So go ahead and walk us through, Austin, real quick. All 4 of these plays for quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end.
All right, so QB, Nick Mullins, obviously. At Tampa Bay, we all know Tampa Bay's defense is extremely suspect. If Breda doesn't do well, it definitely will be end up being a throwing game like usual for your team over there. Mullins, man, he shocked the fuck out of me a couple weeks ago, but hey, it is what it is. I wish I would have played him that week. You would have definitely hit the money.
I
I
made some
like
money
Gus
that week.
Edwards. Gus Edwards versus Oakland, 5,300. I don't know. He came out of nowhere last week. He has so much volume. If I'll be upset, let's put it this way, if they do not use Gus Edwards moving forward, he's 5,300. We've already talked about Josh Adams at the Giants. Eckler, he's 5,400 against Arizona. He's definitely a good play. Even in my opinion, even if Gordon is playing, I think Eckler is. I think Gordon becomes the decoy, and Eckler becomes the main individual at 5,400. So I like Eckler anyway. I'll definitely have a couple lineups this week. Wide receiver, we just talked about Amendola. He's 5,300. He's perfect to help Tannehill out, come back from a shoulder issue. Hey, another guy I think is going to score. I think he's going to score. I will use him in a couple lineups, but Robbie Anderson at 5,200 against the Patriots.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah,
good tournament play.
Yeah, he's their secondary isn't all that it used to be, and they're not getting a lot of pass rush going. So I do think Robbie Anderson has a game. He's still questionable right now. So if he plays, if not, I wouldn't play anyone on the Jets. Robbie Anderson is the only one. Obviously, we talked about Cameron Brady's 4,400. He's probably going to be the most used individual when it comes to building lineups today. I mean, just expect to see. I wouldn't be surprised if he's 40, 50% use on most lineups. And then Clay right now, I think he also is someone that I see scores this week. I think he had a score last week or a week before, I said, but his setup right now is he's definitely gonna get a touchdown. But remember, he's injured as well, so he's not a guaranteed lock for this week. So, but I wouldn't use Clay's backup though, because for some reason, if Clay is playing, then that's all they want to target, and if he's not playing, then I don't know, the ball goes out to the off to the sidelines more times than I can count.
Yeah, Josh Allen's back, and that's not necessarily a good thing. Yeah, it's just a mess. But all right, guys, so that's going to do it for us here. Couple closing remarks. If you have been with us, head over to eatsleepfantasy.com. We have our lineups up for sale on FanDuel, DraftKings, over-unders, pick'ems. It's insane. We have lineups for tournaments, cash games, multipliers, and several different lineups for each different field. And we update those all the way up till game time. And if you have been with us, just want to say thank you, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed winning with us. We play all of those lineups. So the lineups you see up there, we're not just throwing stuff together. We spend a ridiculous amount of time constructing these and constantly going through practice reports, weather reports, all those things. So head over there. What is our new price? We have somewhat of a deal, Austin. So why don't you walk us through that?
Yep, we dropped the price for the rest of the season down to $25, and you get a bronze membership for the OGs Eat Sleep Fantasy, there's so much great information. I mean, everyone this week ranked. Well, Steven crushed it again. Probably one of the top rankers right now. And then you got, Christian Dale, even Armando this week was in the top 50s, and then yourself and myself, we were in the 50s as well. So I think we got a good thing going between both teams, and we're here to make money one way or another.
That's right. Yeah, have fun, make money, and just keep winning. And so for anything else, guys, hit us up on Twitter. You can find me at JL_Chapman. And Austin, what is your Twitter handle where they can find you, sir?
Austin, AUSTN 3737. So that's where you can find me on Twitter. So
all right, guys, peace out, and don't be Reuben Foster.